Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kaylee and these are my books. So for today's video, I have kind of a weird video. I have some predictions for books that I think I'll hate, but that I own and they are on my TBR and that I still want to read. So I know it's like, if you think you'll hate them, why do you want to read them? I'll go over the reasons for these books, but mostly it's just like, I think I'll hate them, but I wanted to read them really badly at some other point in my life that I don't want to discount them completely yet and still want to give them a chance because maybe there's like a little part of me that thinks I still could like it, but most of me is like, oh, I don't think so. I think we're out of that era of our reading right now. So, for example, the first books I have here are the Angel Fall series. This is a YA fantasy romance series. I think it's about angels. I'm sure the main characters fall in love with each other, and I don't know too much beyond that. The reason why I have these is because when I was a teenager, I wanted to read these books so badly, but for some reason I just never got to them. And then I saw these books maybe like a couple of weeks ago at Half Price Books, and they were only $3 each. And I'm like, my teenage self was like, oh, you really want those books. And so I grabbed them because it was only $6 for both of them. But I don't know, I'm not really into these kind of books anymore, but I still want to give them a go just so I can like see and experience the story. We'll see. I mean, I'm gonna go into it knowing I'm not the target audience, so I'm gonna try to be, look at this more objectively and not give it a terrible rating just because I'm not a teenager anymore. But I still want to give it a go because maybe I will like this story. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like it. The next book I have is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. And I was never like a huge Cassandra Clare fan, even as a child. I did really like the Clockwork Princess series, I think it's called. But I never even finished the City of Bones series. However, I've been hearing amazing things about her more recent series. So I picked up Lady Midnight a couple of years ago with every intention to read it, and then I never got to it. And now it's been a couple of years and I'm like, do I still want to read this? I think so, because I want to experience her later series and see what they're like. Especially, I think there's one after the Lady Midnight series that takes place in the Victorian era, and that sounds really fun. But her series are all interconnected, and I think you have to read them in certain orders. And I know this series you're supposed to read the whole City of Bones series first. And I was trying to do a reread, and then I stopped because I got really bored after book 2. I think I was in the middle of book 2. But I don't know, people say this one is way better than her other series. So I still want to give it a go because in theory, like, I should like these books, but we'll see. The other reason why I've put this off for so long is just because it's so like long and I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it. So it's a lot to commit to a long book that also I think I won't like it. But I would love to be a Cassandra Clare girly, so I'm gonna give it a go and try my best. The next book I have is Gunslinger by Stephen King. This is book 1 to his, I think it's like an 8-book fantasy series that he has. Kind of different for Stephen King. This is a Western fantasy series, so not horror at all. I mean, it might be a dark fantasy series, but it's definitely like straight up epic fantasy. And I think I saw Daniel Green's YouTube and he really likes this series, but honestly, I just have no faith in Stephen King. I like some of Stephen King's books, but I dislike most of Stephen King books. So Stephen King doing a fantasy is already kind of like a red flag to me, and Stephen King doing a fantasy well just seems like a far-fetched idea. Especially because I don't hear a ton of fantasy YouTubers talking about this series besides Daniel Green, so I don't know. I do like the concept of a Western fantasy because I really liked the Mistborn Era 2 series. I'm forgetting what it's called, but I'll put it up on the screen here, where it kind of was Western feeling, like there was like a sheriff character and stuff. And so I would like to get those similar vibes in this story, but I don't know. So I don't think I'm gonna like it because it's Stephen King, but the premise is good enough and Daniel Green likes it, so I'm still gonna give it a go. The next book I have is Helen Huang's The Heart Principle. And I absolutely loved Helen Huang's other two books that are in this series, The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test, and they are some of my favorite romance books of all time. However, I don't think I'm gonna like this one because everyone says it's kind of depressing and it's more like contemporary literary fiction and less so romance. And it's characters dealing with grief first and foremost, with the romance as a secondary concern within the novel. And I've heard a lot of people crying over this book, and I don't like books that make me sad. I like books to make me, it's okay if a book makes me feel sad a little bit and then overall happy, but if a book is just ultimately very depressing the whole way through, I won't tend to like it, because I really get affected by these books, and it puts me in a really sad mood for a couple of days after the book is finished if the book is overall pretty depressing. So I don't think I'm gonna like this. I love her other two books because they're just such fun romances, where this one might be a little bit too heavy for me. However, because I liked her other two books so much, and because I have kind of a pretty copy of this book, I still want to give it a go, but I'm just scared. The next book I have is Jo Nesbø's The Bat. I was in a Scandinavian crime fiction / Nordic noir fiction mood for a while, and I really liked all of them. And I know Jo Nesbø is like the king of Nordic noir and Scandinavian crime fiction, and I tried The Snowman, and I don't know, part of it was me not liking, my fault for not liking it, because I was listening to it as I was running, and this was back a year ago when I was first getting into running, and it was really, really, really hard for me to even jog just for a couple of minutes. And so, if I'm listening to a book while I'm doing my most hated and difficult activity, I'm not gonna be having a great time with that book, And I kept zoning out, because I'd be like, oh my god, I'm dying, and then the book would keep playing, and then I would retune into the book, and I'm like, wait, what? But I couldn't stop and replay because I was running. So it's mostly my fault why I didn't like The Snowman. But at the end of the day, I didn't like The Snowman. So I'm scared to read Jo Nesbø's other books, because I don't know if The Snowman, I wouldn't have liked it in any circumstances, or if I didn't like it just because of my specific circumstances. This is the first book in the series that contains the snowman, so it follows the same detective, and I kind of want to start from the beginning because I felt very confused in the snowman, even before I did the running part, and I listened to the first couple of hours just sitting on the couch doing nothing, and I felt like I didn't really know the characters that well, and so I'm hoping by starting at the beginning, I will know them better. But I still think maybe Jo Nesbø is just not for me. So I want to give it a go, but I don't have high hopes. And the last book is Holly Black's The Book of Night. And honestly, I don't know why I even think I want to read this book. I didn't like Holly Black's The Cruel Prince, and that's the only book series I've read from her, but I didn't like that series. However, I thought maybe if she did an adult book, I would like it more. So I guess that's why I got this book, because it is adult. And I just got excited that Book of the Month had a hyped fantasy release, because they don't often have fantasy releases. So I grabbed it from Book of the Month. But now everyone is saying that this book is terrible, and so many people are DNFing it and giving it bad reviews. And I was already kind of skeptical to begin with this book, because I didn't like Holly Black's other books. So the fact that people who did like her other books are even disliking this book, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna like it. But I still want to give it a go, because maybe they're disliking this book and liking her other books means that we have different tastes, and I could like this book since I disliked the books that were really popular. I still want to give it a go, like I said, but I think I'll probably end up agreeing with the consensus that it was boring, but we'll see. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit a downer because I'm talking about books that I don't think I'll like. However, I haven't read them, so I don't know if I'm correct. So I thought it would be fun to make this video and read them, and then go back to this video and see if I was correct in my initial gut feeling about the book. And if I was correct and I actually do dislike all of these books, maybe in the future I can just unhaul them before reading a book, because I can trust myself. But on the flip side, if I read these books and like a bunch of them, that'll teach me not to trust my gut feelings about books and give them a chance before I unhaul. So this is kind of an experiment video. I would love to know your thoughts about any of these books if you have read them, so please let me know down in the comments if you think that I will like any of these books. We'll see. If you like any of these books, let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and remember to like and subscribe if you liked this video for more content, and I'll see you next time. Bye!